Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and a little less than an hour ago, I posted a video about how Travis Kalanick was planning a takeover of Uber to regain control as CFO or even CEO. And one of the ways he wanted to do that was to potentially get SoftBank to invest a lot of money into the company, thus diluting the stock shares, thus giving him more voting power, because he has stock buyback options that could work in a pretty long-term capacity, but he does not have enough to regain control now, and I guess the buyback options have more or less dried up for the most part. Well, we need to make a clarification because breaking story, breaking news, this just came in 15 minutes ago while the video was being uploaded, that SoftBank talks to invest in Uber have ceased. Now, it's interesting the terminology that was used because the talks did not fail. The talks ceased. And there's a lot of confusion as to why. And we're going to talk about the stuff that is not confirmed. And I will paraphrase that information with, this is not confirmed. But I will point out the stuff that is confirmed and how it kind of suggests this might be true. Now, the rumors of why they stopped talking is actually that Uber cut off communication with SoftBank and ended the talks prematurely. Now, this is not confirmed, but the question remains, why would they do that? Because Uber loves raising money. Well, here's what is confirmed. The Uber board, now that the New York Times and Recode and now the LA Times has reported Kalanicks' little scheme to, gain more shares and gain more investors to regain control of the company, let's just say the Uber board has caught on to Kalanicks' plan. And they looked at it and they have actually publicly confirmed they are well aware that this is what Kalanick wants to do. And they actually wanted to make it very clear, they were going to do what they could not to let that happen. One Uber board member, and the article is linked below so you can read the quote. I forgot exactly who said it. It wasn't Huffington, of course. Actually had stated that Travis Kalanick was, in his opinion, looking to regain Uber by basically blowing it up from the inside out. And that is probably in reference to bringing in investors to dilute the stock and regain control and do a coup on the board member and try to get the board membership to mostly side with him, and then he get the last bit of stock that would give him the overwhelming voting power to take over again. And that's what he referenced when he said he'd have to blow Uber. And another board member actually stated they were not going to let that happen, and even sort of issued a challenge to Kalanicks and stated that if Kalanicks wanted to blow up Uber, he better bring a lot of ammo. Them's fighting words. So while it is unconfirmed that Uber cut the talks off with SoftBank, there is a lot to suggest that they did, because they saw what that would ultimately do. And while they would, of course, love to raise more capital for Uber, they're not profitable yet. They don't want to do it at the cost of letting the maniac back in the driver's seat. What's more, and this is also not confirmed, there are reports that SoftBank really didn't like being used as a pawn by Kalanick to regain control of Uber. They were interested in the company. I mean, heck, they're interested in ride sharing in general. They just invested in Grab. They might even invest in Lyft soon. Who knows? But they didn't like being a toy for Kalanick to basically get up to use as a way to get to the end of the big boys table and sit in the main seat again. They didn't like that. Now, that is not confirmed. But considering it's an Asian company, Asian companies don't like being played with like that. So it makes sense that it would happen. But now this is going to raise a few new questions going forward. And I kind of suspect this channel, as much as you all wanted me to get away from Kalanicks, and as much as I wanted to get away from Kalanicks for the most part, I mean, I still talked about him when it was newsworthy, but I have not wanted to. I was glad he was gone. But he's not gone. He is not gone, and in fact, he could be gearing up where he might be more newsworthy than ever at this point. Who knows? Because he still is a member on the board, and I underestimated just how powerful that is. I also underestimated how much loyalty he has, because there are a lot of board members on there who, whether they will state it publicly or not, they liked Kalanicks' work style. They liked the culture he created, and even though that culture is toxic and it's bad for the company, they like it, and they are going to support him, and they wouldn't mind going back. And the idea of bringing in a CEO who might, God forbid, make Uber board members make the bed after they get up in the morning, most Uber board members would prefer to wake up and not have to make the bed. So there you have it. But now some of the questions arise. Just how far is Kalanicks going to go? Is he going to continue this path of using investors to try to regain control of Uber? And now that the board is actually aware of that, does that mean the board has to officially stop raising investment money, because that could lead to Kalanicks coming back? For that matter, will they now have to make a concentrated effort to oust as many board members who are loyal to Kalanicks off the board and replace with people who are concerned for the well-being of the company, not the former CEO, before they can officially move forward with investment raising and maybe even finding the next CEO? At the moment, the CEO list has dwindled quite a bit, and there are no more women on the list. And as much as it probably seems like, because I have stated multiple times, sometimes it seems like I'm sexist, where I say I don't want someone to be hired at Uber just because they're a woman. And when that black lady who was hired from Apple, and I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, she was hired to basically be their PR spokesperson or something. I publicly questioned, well, it helps that she's a woman and it helps that she's black, because even though she's a very accomplished individual and definitely deserves every promotion she gets, I don't know what her launching Apple Music has to do with ride sharing. That said, there were a few female CEOs on that list that I liked a lot, and they would have been very good for Uber. And the fact that they were women wasn't a defining trait for me, but yes, politically speaking, it would be a good move, because promoting a female to CEO means that, yes, they have really listened, because who better to understand women than a woman? I'm sorry, guys. It's true. Women understand women better. That's why when women have problems, they call their sister or their best friend, and they rarely call the guy friend. They just rarely do. That's just the way it is. But all those women, some of whom were very good candidates, and some who, I don't know if I wanted them to be CEO of Uber, they're all gone. They're all gone. To the point where right now the most recognizable CEO who might be taking over Uber is the CEO of GE, who the board does not particularly like, and does not like that he is leaving GE, with the stock having plummeted 33% since he got there. But they're running out of options. And that's why you have some articles that are actually speculating the next CEO of Uber might be Kalanicks. Kalanicks might have actually sabotaged this enough where they have no choice but to bring him back. But the board might not like the fact that he put them in that position. This is getting seriously screwed up, folks. Uber's in dire trouble. I have said it before, and I always pay lip service to it, but guys, you gotta listen to me now. Uber's not good. They are seriously, if you know what I mean. I think Uber's number one priority should be this. They need to find a way to get Kalanicks out of Uber altogether. Leave him 5 shares of Uber stock if need be. But you need to make it so that he cannot possibly meddle with this search any more than he already has. Because here's the thing. Meg Whitman is not my first choice for CEO of Uber. You know what? She's just not. I mean, I was on eBay during the time period, and I said this in the live chat, so this might be repeated for some people. But I was on eBay when she was the CEO, and under her leadership, she put the customers above the sellers, the buyers over the sellers, I should say. And the sellers were who paid eBay's bills. Now, granted, she still had a little bit of a balance, and what she was mainly doing, she was mainly raising fees. John Donahue, he was the true work of art. He would, because of him, eBay got to a point where now they are just finally recovering. So Meg Whitman is not my favorite person, but on the other hand, she has a lot of experience, and she saw some of the mistakes that she made at eBay, and she vowed not to make them again at Hewlett-Packard. And apparently Hewlett-Packard is a very good place to work now. And she was already talking with Uber board members, and they liked some of the suggestions. Apparently, she had some very wise things to say about pleasing the customers, but not alienating the drivers who are what's fueling the business, really. Because here's the thing, without customers, you don't have a business, yes. But without drivers, you have no way to get your product to the customer. And thus, you lose customers. Apparently, she understood very well you could not take either for granted. And that is the kind of leadership Uber needs. And she might have been a good CEO. But there are reports that some of the Uber board members who were loyal to Kalanicks actually interfered and made some threats. Well, not threats, I should say, but they said some disparaging things to the point where Whitman just decided to publicly withdraw her name from consideration, and the Uber board in general was furious. But it worked. For the people who wanted Kalanicks back in power, this ploy worked, and who cares if the company needs a CEO now because they don't know what they're doing and they don't have leadership. Hey, sabotage it enough, delay the pick long enough to where we might have to bring Kalanicks back because Kalanicks won't say no. And he has experience with Uber. Guys, this company's in trouble. This company is in very, very big trouble. The only positive thing is that this mirrors Apple so much. How Steve Jobs almost destroyed Apple, that, I don't know. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic that Uber could rebound if they can just completely get rid of Kalanicks. But Kalanicks a problem. I mean, he has been, but today is the first day it dawned on me, this man is truly dangerous for Uber. He needs to be out of Uber as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and definitively out of Uber. There is no, hey, you're fired from your top position, but you can still meddle with the no, you have lost that privilege. He needs to be George Lucas, where George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, and he was reduced to creative consultant, which means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. He can say what he wants, but no one's actually under any advisement to actually not Star Wars. Let's do Star Trek. Because Star Trek fans know that was Gene Roddenberry, the guy who created Star Trek, the guy who supposedly knew best. Gene Roddenberry was largely responsible for Star Trek the motion picture. And that movie sucks. That movie sucks so much. And not only was Roddenberry like the main driving force behind the story, but that movie was directed by Robert Wise. This guy won 2 Academy Awards for Best Director for directing West Side Story and The Sound of Music. And he also directed The Day the Earth Stood Still and The Haunting. This is a great director, and he could not make Star Trek the motion picture work because Roddenberry kept firing cast members without telling him, actually changed the screenplay without people knowing, sent conflicting notes to studio heads, and actually deliberately sabotaged the production to have full control over the movie. So basically, he was the only one who could see how the movie was supposed to look. And, I mean, the movie got made against all odds, but Paramount, the reception was so poor that Paramount almost didn't make any more Star Trek. Let that sink in a bit. There was almost no more Star Trek because of Gene Roddenberry, the creator. So, when they decided to make Star Trek 2 at a vastly reduced budget, the first thing they did was they reduced Gene Roddenberry to creative consultant, which meant nothing. He could send as many notes as he could, but no one had to actually listen. And he sent notes. He sent a damn well flurry of notes. And Nicholas, Nicholas Meyer, I don't know, I forgot his name, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. He ignored pretty much all of them. And he made Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan one of the best science fiction movies of all time. One of the best Star Trek movies of all time. Travis Kalanick needs to be Gene Roddenberry. He needs to be George Lucas. He needs to be told, you can make suggestions. We don't have to listen to you. You've done enough damage. Now, the question is to you. What do you folks think? Do you think Kalanick's plan to blow up Uber from the inside and rebuild so that he can be CEO again is going to work? Or do you think there's going to be a lot of internal fighting with the Uber board member? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon for as little as $1 a month or buying some swag from the Great Media Universe store. If you want to try driving for Uber or Lyft, there are still some very nice sign-up bonuses. Referral links are below. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.